Hi, I'm Corolla on Instagram. I'm at From Corolla. In this video, I'm super excited to talk about my 2025 planner and journal lineup. I'll show you how I've set them up so far and how I'm going to use them. If you stick around till after I talk about my books, I'll also share what covers I'm going to use if that interests you. So as you can see, I'm using 6 main books as part of my lineup for next year. How I'm going to go through them is in 2 categories. So I have my functional category of planners and journals, and I have my creative category of journals. So we'll get started with the functional books that I'm going to use for 2025. So for 2025, similar to this year, I'm only going to have one personal planner. And this will house all my events, appointments, schedules, and to-do lists, and will keep me organized and productive. So for 2025, I have a plotter in the A5 size. This is part of their Horsehair 2 collection, and I believe it's the gray, the brown gray color. And so far I have a title page or a title, so I have a title page. What I added in was my own weekly chores page. So this is just by week. I would just cross off or put a check mark beside the chore that was completed. So this was my sketch for what I was planning on getting for my 2025 lineup. Seeing it visually helps me figure out what I need and what I don't need, and what I just really like to include in my lineup. But I don't necessarily include that. So this is how I'm planning on using the monthly spread. Again, this is from Plotter. So I love how there's so much space to jot down appointments and events that are upcoming. And then I included this cutout bookmark just to sort of show me where the current month is. And I included a post-it for things that I usually do a review of when I'm reflecting on the previous month. I like to sort of, do certain reflections. And then I included a lined refill paper from Plotter that I'm going to list my monthly tasks on. And I just drew this line just where I'm going to cross off what has been completed. And that's the monthly spread that I'm going to use. And then for the weekly spread, how I'm going to use it is, this is also from Plotter. I'm going to use the timeline here by just doing a dot using a dot marker. And that will sort of indicate that there's an appointment or something happening during that time. And then I can also write down what the appointment is on the left-hand side. And so this will sort of be my schedule. And I like how there's this faint line that separates these two into columns. And so on this side, I'll probably write down, closures for school, holidays, and appointments. And then on the right-hand side of this, I'll write down day-specific tasks that need to be completed or that I want to complete. And the other part of this weekly spread that Plotter has includes this page, which doesn't have a timeline or any other indication except for these lines that sort of line up with the 7 days of the week. But, you can ignore these lines and just keep writing things. And I think I'll just, on this side, I'll have priorities. I can use Post-its, which I'm a huge fan of, and also sort of list down projects and things that I'm going to be working on a daily basis. And then similar to the monthly log, I've included a lined refill, and I'm going to be listing weekly tasks. So this way, I can sort of see at a high level what I want to complete during the week. And at a daily level, I can see what I want to get done, my goals for each day. So that's how I'm going to use the weekly spread. And the rest are sort of I'm including, I think, a month at a time of weekly pages, which is kind of all I need to plan in advance. And then I've included some folders that I made from vellum paper, just folded them over and hole punched them. And these will sort of house projects and pages that go together. In the back, I have an adhesive pocket from Traveler's Company. So that sticks to the back page really well. And what I'm going to include in this little adhesive pocket is just one of the Hobonichi A6 graph notebooks. And this is going to be for social posts that I have, or that I'm going to post, as well as highlights and goals from a social point of view. So that is just going to keep me organized. I would recommend, you could put a different notebook in here, or you can even put one of the refill pads in the back. So that's kind of handy to have. And I like that the whole thing is not that bulky. So that's actually a good size and a decent amount of papers that I can hold in here. So the second book is a continuation of the 5-year diary from Hobonichi. And this was the first year that I used it, so 2024. So I'll be using it for another 4 years. And how I use this is as an archive. And basically, I just go in here every few days and write down, the events that happened for each day. And it's meant to sort of document things that happen in my family's life that I would hope that my kids can use as a reference later on in future years. And it's just kind of nice to have, a daily list of happenings so that year over year, when I go in to fill in the next year, then I can sort of see what happened, that day, the previous years. And then the third book in my functional lineup is a notebook. This is an A6 Hobonichi notebook. It's graph paper. And I use this for stream of consciousness writing. So it's undated. So, I every morning and sometimes at night, the first and or last thing I do during the day is just write down all of my thoughts as they come to me without filtering them. And it's just a way of me doing, sort of a brain dump or a thought dump of everything that's going on in my mind that may be cluttering my mind, and I don't want it swirling around, all day. So I have used an A5 notebook this year. For next year, I've already sort of started this A6, and it's just fountain pens, and I just write without, it doesn't have to look pretty for me, and I don't really grammar check or spell check as I'm writing. So there are 3 books in my second category of creative notebooks or planners or journals. So the first one is a continuation. I've actually been using it since 2022. And if you've seen my previous planner update videos, then you know this is my Hobonichi A6 5-year Techo. And how I use it is I use it for gratitude, and I write down what's called Today's Little Joys. It's from Morgan Harper Nichols, an amazing author and artist who I admire. And she sort of says, the idea behind Today's Little Joys is to write down just little moments that happen during the day that bring you joy or make you smile. And it doesn't have to be, big moments of gratitude, but these little moments add up to our happiness every day. And so I just love that concept, and I've been doing that for the past couple years. So this is my 3rd year in this book. And sometimes I don't have the time to go in and write, but I try and keep this on my desk. And as things sort of happen that make me smile or laugh, I just jot them down. And on the right-hand side, I do a drawing practice of abstract florals using a glass dip pen, sometimes watercolor paint, but mostly a glass tip pen and fountain pen ink. So 2 new books that I'm adding for 2025. This is the Hobonichi Weeks Paysan Blossom. The cover is this really subtle texture, which feels really nice and smooth, soft actually. And I'm using this Hobonichi Weeks for memory keeping. So I did a similar thing this year, but for next year I'm going to do a little bit more stickering and journaling in it as well. So I've sort of started to set it up a little bit. I added the Coffee Monsters Co. vinyl stickers, really cute. I'm going to add another vinyl sticker in the front, kind of like this. So I'm going to use the yearly index spread for documenting workouts and fitness, my cycle, weight, that kind of stuff. At a high level, I can sort of see, when things are happening. The monthly spread I'm going to use to document social highlights, like on my social platforms, as well as Happy Mail. So when I order stationery stuff, I like to track, when I ordered and when I received something. So I'm going to do that. And then I also use this to jot down fitness notes. So, how many steps or kilometers that I walked. And then on the left-hand column, I'm going to put down trackers and just track different things that are going on during the month. What I do is I usually use one box down the side for the dates, and then I can include 4 different things that I'm tracking. And so as I go down by day, I just put an X beside the column where I've done the habit that I want to track. So that's how I'm going to use the monthly spread. The weekly spreads, I'm going to use it the same way as I did this year. Basically, jot down highlights for each day as they happen. And I'll also try and use some stickers and add some decoration as I go. And then I usually include the weather on this side, so just a sun or a cloud. I like to sort of track the weather that way. And then on the right-hand side, where there's just the blank grid, I'm going to try and do a daily reflection or write down about my mood for the day. Obviously, it won't be a lot to write, so I'll sort of keep to each day, but we'll see how that goes. And then in the notes section in the back, I'm going to, so this section here where there's just notes pages, I'm going to basically use this as my journal. So it's kind of a spillover from the weekly pages. If I want to continue writing something or give some more context to things that happened during that day, I'll just go to the notes pages and I'll just jot down, the date and then continue my journaling there. So I don't anticipate running out of pages. I know that's always kind of a concern for people is, what if I run out of pages? I don't think I will, because I don't really journal too much in a week size notebook. But if I do, I'm not so much worried. I just think I'll add one of the week's notebooks that Hobonichi sells in the back and then continue that way, or I'll come up with a solution if I need to. So for now, that's how I plan on using the Hobonichi Weeks. So the third book in my creative lineup or creative category of books is the Sterling Ink N2 Horizontal Compact Full Year. So if you're not familiar with the Sterling Ink Common Planner lineup, this is basically a week size similar to Hobonichi, and it includes all sort of the same types of pages that Hobonichi Weeks does, except that there's also a quarterly section. So you have the quarters or the months of each quarter, and then the monthly pages, and then the weekly pages are also horizontal, similar to the weeks. And then in the back there are notes pages. So how I plan on using this sterling ink is basically for all my hobbies. So I like to note down, currently inked, fountain pens, new stationery that I buy, and I also like to read a lot, so I like to have a place where I write down notes about books that I'm currently reading as I'm reading them. And also, I'm a huge true crimes fan, so I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, and I like to jot down notes about what I'm learning or hearing about. So different, terms that are related to true crime and different names and cases and stuff like that. So I like to sort of house that in a notebook, and I think I used a regular notebook in 2024. And for 2025, I plan on using, one book to house everything that I want to write down about the hobbies that I feel passionate about. So how I've set it up so far, or how I'm going to use it, is I'm going to have this cute The Coffee Monsters Co. vinyl, Protect Your Peace, because this is my piece. And there are 2 blank graph pages in the front. I'm going to use this as, sort of highlights of my hobbies. So like, the total number of fountain pens I bought during the year or something like that. And then this spread, which I really like, it's called a goal breakdown. So it's meant for you to jot down your goals, someday, 1 year, half year, etc. And I think how I'm going to repurpose this spread, which I really like, is either to write down my wish list or my routine. So when it comes to, reading and things like that, what's my routine and how do I follow that? I'm not sure how I'm going to use the yearly index just yet. I might use a key for, what I'm reading or what I've inked up. I'm not sure. Check in again with me once I start the year and start using this book. These are the quarterly pages. So I think on this side, on the left-hand side, under each month, I think what I'll do is at the end of the month, I'll review the planners and journals that I use during that month, and then see how that evolves over time. And that obviously will help me with planner update videos and actually talking about which books I used every month. And then on the left-hand side, where it's by month, I'm going to use this as a reading tracker. So I'll list down the books that I'm reading and sort of when I start, when I finish them, and track it that way. So those are the quarterly pages. And for the monthly pages, I'm going to use them for fountain pens. So I think what I'll do is, as I ink up a fountain pen, I'll do a little swatch and jot down what pen and ink it is. And then I can always reference what I've currently inked for that month. As well, I like to write down notable ink things that happen. So when I get new bottles of ink or samples, or I'll jot down here new inks, samples that I used up, stuff like that. And then at the end of the month, I like to reflect on total number of, ink bottles that I have, ink samples that I have, things that I used up, etc. So that's how I'll use the monthly spreads, basically, for fountain pens. And the weekly spreads is what I'll use on a daily basis, kind of in terms of when I'm reading a book or I'm listening to a podcast. I'll have this open so I can jot down notes as I listen or read. And I can always come back to refer to things as needed. So also quotes and, fun insights, reflections, things that I want to, sort of keep and document. The notes section, I think how I'm going to use it is write down book notes. So once I'm done reading a book, I like to take quick high-level notes about whether I liked it or not, whether I would recommend it or not, some notes about characters, things that stood out to me in the book. So when I do my actual book review, then I can use this as reference. And I'll also use these pages for swatching new inks that I get, ink bottles, and then, sort of sampling them in these pages. And also if I get new pens or stationery, then I like to sort of document somewhere, the colors and swatches and stuff like that. So I think that's how I'll use the notes pages. I don't anticipate running out of space. I think the compact size is a great size for the purpose that I'm thinking about. So the reason why I actually included this book into my lineup as a dated book is because in 2021, I used this Hobonichi Day Free. And if you've seen my previous planner videos, especially for 2021, where I went through my lineup, I use this book for specifically hobbies and fun things. So that's kind of what this is going to be, because I really liked that I housed all my, hobby related fun stuff in here. And so, for example, like in the monthly spreads, I included books that I read, books that were that I was going to be reading, etc. And then in the notes or graph pages, I just had notes on books and stationery shops, things like that. I kind of like flipping back through this and seeing what I was interested in 2021, and the things that I read, tried, listened to, swatched, stuff like that. So bringing this back in the sterling ink week size and 2, I'm really excited to use this in a creative way and just document the things that I really enjoyed doing in 2025. Honorary mention, or an extra book, if you will, is the Hobonichi Weeks Through the Purple Night. It's I'm going to be using this as a family planner. This is basically just to schedule appointments and events that pertain to my family. So I'll have it in a common place for my husband to refer to, so he doesn't have to, reach for my personal planner. And it'll be, this is, I have to add this vinyl sticker in here from Inky Converters. It's really cute. It's a unicorn. And how I'll set this up or use it is I'll mark down school days that the kids are not going to be in school for, priorities for the year, and then basically I'm going to put in birthdays and events that we have to, or annual events that we have to be aware of. So the weekly pages I'm going to use for scheduling and appointments. And then the right-hand side is probably just for notes and stuff. And then the notes section is going to be for meeting notes, event reflections, stuff like that. Just things that happen that I want to give a little bit more context around. So that is my lineup for 2025 of functional books and creative books. So I have 6 in total that I'm going to be using and setting up, and I'm super excited about them. So if you're curious about the covers that I'm going to be using that are new, stay tuned and I'll go through that as well. So these are the new covers I'm using for 2025 for my books. This one is the Hobonichi Tragen. It's in week size. I like it because it's very portable, so it would be very easy to throw into my bag and go traveling with it, or just have it on the go. And on the side, I'm going to keep, washi that I'm going to use in my book, as well as a couple of Hobonichi week size books. One is medical notes. The other is like stationery spends and finance things. I'm using the passport size folder to keep some tiny icon sticker sheets from the Coffee Monsters Co., which I adore, and I'm going to use them in my weeks. And I love how it actually fits the weeks and it doesn't feel too bulky. and just fits perfectly in there. And then it has this little pen pouch, which of course I've filled with a few pens. And then in the back, I got a Hobonichi weekly supplement calendar for 2025. And I think I'm just going to use this as an on-the-go scheduler. I got this just in case I'm not going to carry around my plotter A5 everywhere. So I may just use this for traveling or on the go. And then on the back of the calendar or supplement, I pasted this adhesive from Traveler's Company, and it's just a little folder, and in it I'm going to put this little Hobonichi notebook. It's dot grid and probably just for to-do lists or notes on the go. So that's how I think I'm going to use it, but we'll see. Actually fits perfectly in this little back insert pocket. So that's my tracking cover. I actually got this A6 leather zip cover, forest green, from Galen Leather at the California Pen Show earlier this year in February, and I have been using it on and off throughout this year for stream of consciousness writing. So I put this notebook in here, and I have 5 fountain pens that I usually put in here. And it's great just to carry this around or kind of keep the notebook private as well. So it's a 2-part purpose for that. And then the third cover I have is actually a new one that I got a week ago. It was sent to me from Galen Leather. They kindly sent it to me to do a review on and just try and use it or try it out and post my notes about it basically. So I plan on using it to house my Sterling ink N2 and just have this with me when I'm reading and doing other things. And yeah, so I'm excited to use it. I have a Pilot vanishing point in it, medium nib, and probably I'll have different washi inserts or cards on this side. I'm not sure yet, but I do plan on using this cover, and this is the week size zippered cover in Crazy Horse Brown. The last thing is, if you've made it so far in my video, thank you so much for watching this, and I'm going to show a little bit of a teaser for one of my upcoming videos. It's going to be about how I use my traveler's notebooks. So as you can see, there's actually 5 that I'm going to be using or continuing to use, and they all have inserts in them and they're for different purposes. So I didn't want to talk about them in this video because it would just make this video way too long. So look forward to an upcoming video where I'll walk through how I use my traveler's notebook covers with different inserts for different purposes. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Corolla on Instagram. I'm @FromCorolla. Let me know in the comments what you're planning on using in 2025. Are you using any of the planners and journals that I'm using as well? And how you plan on using them. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!